There's less than 3 days left to mine Night, the native cryptocurrency for Midnight, a privacy project on Cardano. And all this time, we've talked about different methods to mine Night. And for those of you who are maybe late, maybe hearing about Night, because I've seen some people here and there coming late, I want to give you the best shot at getting as much Night as possible in today's video. I'm going to show you how you can mine about 10,000 Night per day with less than $5. It is very feasible, it is possible, and I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to do it. If you're new here, my name is Alex. We talk about crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, smash up the like. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. All right, so as we dive into this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to be able to mine Night with very little time left and be able to mine anywhere between like 5 to 10,000 Night tokens per day very easily with less than $5. And I'm gonna show you how to do that in today's video, show you how to put this all together, and show you how exactly this is done. Now, mind you, Scavenger Mine ends the 19th of November. There's only a few days left, but when it comes to mining with a CPU, there's two options, right? You can either use your own resources or use someone else's. And I've done a few videos on how to use your own resources, but the reality is that most people's electric rates are not cheap. If you're in California, if you're in the UK or other country where electric rates are high, for example, this is just for me with my current CPU I have in my desktop. It is an Intel i9 10850K. And that runs about 176 watts with it being utilized quite heavily, which cost me about 65 cents per day. So just think about that, 65 cents per day automatically going towards electric cost. Now, mind you, if you're somewhere where electric rates are higher, like California, double that, you're looking at over $1.30 per day just in electric, not to mention what the value of the amounts of Night tokens you're able to mine with the type of CPU that you have. So a lot of people have turned to mining with the likes of VPS providers. I did a whole video on using Vast.ai in a couple of days ago, but the problem is almost all of Vast.ai's CPUs have been used up. And in many of these that are available, they aren't able to connect with the server. They have issues. A lot of these that are based in China also have a lot of issues as well. China and Russia typically have a lot of issues. Or you're going to be paying $9 a day, because mind you, this is on an hourly rate, almost $9 a day, which is absolutely insane. Even the cheapest is at $2.30 a day. And so some of these prices are absolutely ridiculous now. So I would not recommend using Vast.ai unless you want to pay for the premium of having a desktop view. Because if you want to go the easy route, but you're going to pay extra for it, you can go and use Vast.ai. But unless you already have a GPU on there, and you're starting off for the very first time, I wouldn't use Vast.ai. If you already have your GPU on there, great, you're getting a good deal if you watch my video before a lot of the rush came in. So that being said, if you're just finding out about mining Night, you've got 3 days left, you wanna do it the right way, I would recommend using a product called Clore. Now, I've used Clore.ai before in the past. It is essentially a decentralized version of Vast.ai, which, mind you, Vast.ai is one of the largest VPS and CPU and GPU renter platforms out there. And they only have a handful. These are the only CPUs that they have available, which is absolutely insane. So if you go over to the likes of Clore.ai, there's a few configurations like I talked about in the VPS video for Vast.ai. There's a few configurations you need to be aware of. The first thing you want to do is don't worry about the GPU. You want to have at least 20 CPU cores and a decent amount of RAM. Not that it really matters, but I don't want to have a computer with little RAM. And the other thing you want to do is maximum rental length, because the standard length is 6 hours. You don't want to start an instance and then 6 hours later get booted off of it because you didn't realize that it was a maximum 6 hour rental. So put this in for at least 36 hours, so that way you can get the maximum at minimum these days. And some of these you can see, max duration is 3 days, 5 days, 22 days. The other thing you need to be cognizant of is oftentimes the cheapest ones are also going to be based in Russia. So be mindful of that. They also have oftentimes the most issues when it comes to actually downloading the software because the internets are super slow. So here's a few things. You're going to see the country that this is in right here. So you can see this is Russia. It does have really, really good cores and threads. This is a fantastic overall CPU, but the problem is it's probably going to take, I mean, you look at the upload speed is just very, very slow, so it may not even be worth it. This one right here looks a little bit better, and it is not in Russia, so maybe we're going to just take our chance with this one. We're going to see how it goes. May or may not work, and if not, it'll be a good learning lesson. So it is running on a pretty good motherboard, so not complaining there. And then, you know, a pretty decent Intel processor. So, you know, it's not going to be the best in the world, but that is a pretty decent one. That, you know, when you're looking at a lot of your options, especially when you're looking at the pricing, there are kind of limited options, even though Clore.ai isn't nearly as in demand as we've seen with the likes of Vast. So let's see, this one is in Russia. This one I had issues with. I tried that one earlier. Let me just see here if we can get a really, really good one. So this one's got 64 threads, $1 a day, but it's in Russia because this one only has 28 cores. And so we want to get something a little bit more buff. So this one doesn't look too bad. This one is out of CA, looks like pretty decent, and it has pretty decent overall threads. Let me go ahead and go and create that instance. When you go and create this, you want to make sure it is in Ubuntu Jupyter because that is going to be the platform that we're going to be using to set this up. So the moment this is going to come up here, you're going to see this populate, and we are going to go. This looks like, yep, they're in Canada. Haven't had any issues with ones out of Canada, but hopefully this is not one of the first. So mind you, as we get into this, if you're watching this, you need to watch this step by step. It's very, very important because if you try to do this on your own, I guarantee you are going to get errors. So if you're not doing it the right way, you're not doing it step by step, as we talk about through the rest of this video, it's not going to work. So I want to make sure it does work for you, and that way you are successful with the limited time that we still do have. So mind you, some of these, like I said, they are going to be hit or miss. Some of these are going to work. Some of these maybe not. This one's taking a little bit of time to load, unfortunately. So, you know, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We're not too far from Canada, so it shouldn't be that bad. But it is currently deploying, so maybe just taking a bit of time. The internet speed's overall pretty decent. So let's just go back to the marketplace while we're waiting on that to load. And just look at a few other options. Most of these are going to be about $1 a day. So if you're thinking about this, right, if you're getting one with a ton of cores, therefore a ton of threads, typically you have double the threads as you have cores, you can do really, really well in a very short period of time. So let's just see if we can have one that is really, really insane. Okay, so you've got this one right here. Unfortunately, it's also in Russia. It may be a hit or miss depending on how we run it. Let's just see here. Most of these are based in Russia. Let's just see if we can load some more. But now you're kind of getting close to that $2 range. So it is getting a bit more expensive. All right, let's just scroll up here. Let's just see what we've got. So this one doesn't look too bad. It's $1.50. It's not terrible. So we'll come back to that one. This one doesn't look. This one has terrible, terrible internet speed, so probably don't even want to mess with that one. Okay, so this one doesn't look too bad. It's $1.40. The main thing is you just don't want to be spending a whole lot of money when it comes to this, especially when you don't know what the potential price will be of the token once it does launch. So this was the i7 that we had seen, 28 cores. We'll just go ahead. Let's just see if this one populated. We're going to reload. If not, we'll go ahead and move on to another one. But this may be something that you run into. And I'm not saying all of the CPUs based out of Russia have issues. I would just say more than not are going to have issues, unfortunately. Now, this one looks like it's going to give us some issues. Let's just go over to this i7. We're going to go ahead and click rent this one. Click that. Go ahead and click rent. And we're going to go back over to the marketplace while we're waiting on some of these to populate. Because you can always go back there and cancel. So it's not the worst thing in the world. But I do want to just see, I think I saw one down here that was pretty decent, not in Russia. So this one doesn't look too bad. This is one out of Canada. Looks pretty decent. We're gonna go ahead and click rent. Ubuntu Jupyter, and we're gonna click create. All right, so while we're waiting on some of these to populate, we've got this one here that we're waiting on. These are the 3 that I have running currently. The others I have currently, I got into Vast.ai early enough, so I'm running with those pretty decently. This is the one that we're still waiting to reload. If it has issues, you can always reboot the machine. So we're gonna go ahead and reboot that machine. And it looks like it's also giving us errors. So this one just may be having issues. And like I said, that may just be the case where, you go to rent one and it just doesn't work for you. So let's just go over to this one that we've got. This is the i7. And let's just see if this one we can get to load up. All right, so this one is doing way better. So this is what you're gonna come to once it does load. You're gonna go over to terminal. And at this point, you are going to run a couple of commands because this isn't going to be anything insane. This isn't going to be anything too difficult to understand, but it is going to take a bit of time and following directly step by step. So the first thing you're going to do is type in apt update. And it's going to run a package and it's going to get to this point. It's going to be done. And then it's going to have 104 packages that can be updatable or upgraded. We're not really all too worried about that. So we're going to do apt install sudo. Run this packages. We're going to click yes. And done. Now, we've installed sudo command. Now we need to install curl command because that is how the command line works for the Nocturne miner. So we need to have the curl command installed to be able to do this. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and do sudo apt install curl. Enter. Click yes. And that's it. Once you've done those things, you can now start to install the miner itself. So we're going to go over here, right click copy, over here, right click paste. It's going to allow us to go ahead and paste, enter. We're going to go back over here, copy this one, make it executable, right click paste, enter. I'm going to run the installer, right click paste, enter. It's going to go ahead and install. It's going to say it's not installed to path. That is perfectly fine. And then we're going to install to local. Very similar commands that we would run on a terminal that we would see on the likes of Vast.ai, except you don't have a nice, desktop background that you're seeing here. So at this point, you're done. And what you're going to do is, as you see, this ran pretty quickly. Sometimes if you have very terrible internet speeds or if it's in Russia, you're going to have very, very long load times. So it's not really ideal. So what you're going to do at that point is you're going to run the Nocturne miner. Now, my recommendation is you're going to run Nocturne miner optimal. I'm going to go over here, right click, paste, enter. And at that point, you're back to what you were doing before, right? You enter whatever your name you're using. In this instance, I would go with 50 because it's an i7. It's not anything too crazy. As you can see, your system has 28 CPU cores, right? So I don't typically want to use the entire, and I don't want to use half. I want to maximize it as much as possible. So I typically go 2 threads or 2 threads below the maximum. So we're going to enter 3 because we want to do a custom. We're going to use 26, enter, and we're going to auto-generate our mnemonic phrase, enter. We're going to start mining. And at this point, we are mining. Now just wait until you see the hash rate because the hash rate is going to be absolutely insane and probably more significant than what you've seen with maybe a computer you're currently using or a cell phone that you're using. You're just going to see a lot more hash rate in general, comparatively speaking. So you can see right there, it is about 33 to 35,000 hashes per second. It's absolutely insane. Now, mind you, this is $1.30, right? On a daily basis. You wouldn't be able to get that hash rate without spending $3 to $4 a day on Vast.ai based off current prices. So just be mindful of that. Some of the other things to also consider when it comes to this, I talked about this in yesterday's video, so tune in to yesterday's video because you need to save your mnemonic phrase. Your mnemonic phrase itself is through another terminal. So all you would do is you would open up another terminal, you would click terminal or another tab terminal, you would go type cat settings.json, and then you're going to click enter, and then your mnemonic phrase is going to populate. I'm not going to do that because I want to use this miner. It looks like it's doing pretty decently. It's going to fluctuate a little bit and then eventually settle out, but still 25,000 hashes per second is really, really good for the limited price, considering the limited opportunities. Now, mind you, this is going to, when you're looking at this, about 5 of these, it would be about $5 a day, maybe $5.50 a day, would get you to mining around 6,000 to 12,000 night tokens per day. So for $5, you can mine about 6,000 to 12,000 night tokens because that is what I have mined thus far. You can see this drastically increasing. This is a very, very short period of time to be able to get to this hash rate, right? Because we're seeing 30,000 hashes. You multiply that by 5, that would get you to 150 kilohash, which is 150,000 hashes per second. So the numbers are phenomenal. The time is limited. And if you're going to participate and you don't want to be feel like you're sidelined, I'd highly recommend checking out Clore.ai. It may take a couple of going through different terminals, going through a couple of different instances before you find the one that works for you. But in the end, the options here are much, much better. And hopefully this video was valuable. It was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, if you need any help. I have a free Discord link down below. Jump in there. I have helped out a few people already. That said, have a great rest of your day. Until next time, guys, stay invested.